No, I don't believe it's real. What a way to start a video. Hey everyone, it's Matt here, the TokuDragon, and today I'm going to talk about why I think these two images that you see on screen right now, that I had in the thumbnail, are completely fake. So first things first, I do want to mention that I do believe that Ryuki and Dekaranger will eventually be out in the US. I hope that they'll eventually be out in the US. I know that of course Ryuki is out on streaming, but I would really hope that Ryuki would be out on Blu-ray and Dekaranger would be out on DVD. Also, I do believe that the likelihood of this happening is very likely because of the fact that Shout Factory not only has the licensing, the streaming of course, to 1971's Kamen Rider and Kuga, they also have the rights to Ryuki, so it would be pretty cool if they keep on going with this Heisei kick and actually end up releasing Ryuki on Blu-ray. Also, Ryuki is available on Blu-ray in Japan, so it's not like there's anything that Shout Factory has to do. They can just get the masters from Toei, or in this case Ishimori Pro, and actually end up putting it out, so that's really cool. Now when it comes to Dekaranger, you know, why not, let's say Turbo Ranger? Well, they actually had a precedent that they set with Jetman where they ended up releasing one Sentai pre-Zero Ranger and then two Sentai post whatever Sentai that they already had released. So it would make sense that if they're back on track here, that they would actually end up releasing Dekaranger. So why don't I believe this then? Well, there are a few things, but again, before we get to that, I want to say one more thing. I want to give you a little bit of context if you're wondering where these images are coming from. If you saw these images on Twitter, maybe being reposted, maybe being retweeted, and wondering where are these coming from, well, here's the thing. These images are being posted by user Spin-54, who is claiming, and I do not believe that they are lying, by the way, that they are claiming that a source DM'd them these pictures and are saying that these maybe not are the final, but that these are images that will be used as box art for the Ryuki and Dekaranger releases. Again, believe that they're happening eventually. I do not believe that Spin Dash or their source, or actually his source, it's in the pronouns are in his bio, his source is lying. I do not believe that at all. What I am saying is just that I have been burned so many times. I think back to when I was younger and I was burned by Dragon Ball AF, quote-unquote After Future, which really stood for April Fools. So I've been burned time and time and time again by fake box art, by all these different fake, you know, sequels to stuff and whatnot. So I, in my 30 years of life, am just very much skeptical of something like this. Again, not saying that anyone is lying here. Arguably the source could be lying. But not that anyone is lying in particular, but that someone involved in this may be misled. And again, I'll get to why I think these are fake again in just a second, but I just have to say, I shouldn't have to say this, but sadly, when you go on Twitter and you see so much hate and so much harassment, I just have to make it very clear here, and I'm going to swear, so be cognizant of that. Do not fucking harass this person, nor their source. If we ever find out who their source is, do not fucking harass people. I hate that I have to say that, and I have to say it with such, you know, like just so directly. But I have to because of the fact that there are people out there that will. So please, do not do that. Now, let's move on with the story. So, looking at these two pieces of box art, the reason why I think that these are completely fake, in my opinion, not only are there templates out there, by the way, you know, people doing their own little fun spins on what could be future pieces of box art, but here's the thing. So when you actually look at this logo, just look at this whole thing, we're looking at Dekaranger at this point, what confuses me personally, when you look at most of the Super Sentai box art that's out there, the US box art, it is actually kind of flipped in a way when you compare it to the Dekaranger. What do I mean by flipped? So when you look at the actual background itself, it is, you might not think it's good, but there's actually a lot more attention to it than I have ever seen when it comes to a Super Sentai background. Usually they're actually very plain and not much is done there, but there's actually more work done for the pictures that are actually, you know, the 4 pictures that they usually use from the series itself. But here's the interesting thing. When you look at these 4 pictures, the reason why I said it's flipped is because these not only are in such poor quality, but apparently some of them are actually from SPD. And speaking of stuff from SPD, when you compare the actual Ranger pose, or the, in this case, Sentai member pose, it is the exact same one used for the DVD volumes for SPD. And here's the interesting thing. That has never happened before with any of the Super Sentai sets that Shout Factory has released in the US. For every single one, they have not reused stock images, surprisingly enough. Now, I don't know about specific pictures and whatnot, but when it actually comes to the poses, they have never reused any images. And isn't that interesting? That the one time they would actually end up reusing images would be for this leak? I don't think so. Now, I've heard some people say that it might actually be a work in progress or something like that. That I would believe. But the idea that these are anywhere near the final box art that they're going to be using, I would be completely shocked if that's the case. Again, every single one, even ones that didn't use any, version of someone's human form, not even a helmetless suit pick, any one that just has them posing, are completely different from their US counterparts. Why? I would say for two reasons. One, not to have any issue with brand confusion, knowing that not just because of the logo up top, but also because of their poses, that they are completely different shows. Also, when you look at the fact that Japanese companies have to approve this box art and you are in constant communication with them, you're actually going to be asking them if they have any images they would like to share, any kind of promotional artwork that they can share, and sometimes they do. And I've definitely seen some stuff that I've gone, oh, I don't think I've ever really seen that pose before, because it's not just reused from something else that they had, some stock image or something. They actually end up getting it directly from the source. Actually, I would like to post an article down below if any of you are confused about licensing rights, even though this has to do with anime, and it is a bit of an outdated article because of when it was posted. Still, there's a fantastic Answer Man article that I highly suggest reading if you want to get to know more about the industry and kind of just see how closely companies work with Japanese companies when they're licensing stuff, and that it is in no way like you might see on YouTube or hear from Twitter users, that it very much, the way they paint it as, these poor Japanese companies that, oh golly gee, they just don't know what they're doing. Capitalism, what's that? As if they just completely bumbled their way into giving a license to a U.S. company, and all of a sudden, I don't know where the U.S. company is just completely abusing that right, when really the Japanese company, depending on the contract, can renege on it at any point, completely screwing over the U.S. company. Again, depending on the contract, of course. Usually doesn't happen because, of course, the Japanese side wants to make their money. But usually, though, funnily enough, they get their money up front. Now, things are a little bit different with Super Sentai, of course, but in no way is Toei sitting here crying, not making money and not making decisions when it comes to these, these, not only the box art, but also some other decisions as well. Now, let's also look at not just Dekaranger here that we can see on the front, but let's actually move over to Ryuki. Now, this one, I think that this is kind of a very busy piece of box art. I kind of like it, kind of don't. I find it interesting, though, that they actually have the US logo, the brand new logo up top, and this logo at the bottom. I mean, to be fair, when it comes to the logos, this would kind of track with what they did with Kuga. Although what's interesting is the way that they made the logo for Kuga, very strange logo. You would think that they would kind of follow suit and do a similar kind of thing with Ryuki, but to be fair, they haven't done it with Super Sentai either, so in theory, this could be just a brand new logo they made for, some reason or another. Now, when you look at the entire, it's looking at Ryuki, right? This looks like something that I've seen before, a definite reuse of a stock image in some way or another. But what I find interesting is, for the other riders that we've seen, they kind of have more of a full body pick, and in this case, it's just very, very close. It just seems fan-made. It could not be, but it seems very much fan-made, because of the fact that it's just a very close-up shot. You also see Knight in the background, and of course you see Dragon as well. Here's the thing, though. If you actually zoom in, it says it includes episode final, and it includes the director's cut of it. Now, here's what I find interesting. So when you look at the 01 Blu-ray, yes, it did include the film. Kuga did not. Why did it not include the film? Such a blasphemous thing to do. Well, there was no film. So there was no real way to include something that doesn't exist. And of course, they weren't going to include the Hyper Battle video because that didn't really seem like they would do. So when you look at Ryuki, you think, oh, well, why wouldn't they include the film, right? Well, here's the thing, though. When it comes to the films, of any of these films, there's a reason why we've seen no Super Sentai films. The reason why is because they are separate licenses. So Saban, and then Disney, and then Saban again, and then Hasbro, or Saban, and then Hasbro now, do not have the rights to the films. So Shout Factory would have to buy them separately, which you can see why they haven't done that yet, or may ever. So when it comes to Kamen Rider, it seems like they've had to do the same. Now, to be fair, it does seem as if, even though it's not to the extent that Tsuburaya is doing with Ultraman, it does seem like Shout Toei is trying to actually, and Ishimori Pro is trying to get Kamen Rider just kind of more out there. A dog outside agrees with me. He definitely agrees. So because of that, maybe you could say that they're giving them a bit of a deal. But honestly, with how much these movies cost and how they're separate licenses, when it comes to shows that aren't really trying to be pushed, let's say by Toei for any kind of like brand kind of solidarity, brand synchronization, I can't think of the term right now. Point is that when it comes to 01, it makes a lot of sense because of the comic that was coming out and that is out, that Toei would want the entire series, including the movie, out in the US. Maybe they give Shout Factory a little bit of a deal. Speculation, maybe give them a little deal, right? Just, hey, come on, we want this to be, something that people in the US can see very easily. So I look at Tsuburaya with Mill Creek. So when it comes to Kuga, manga coming out in the US, maybe a little deal. I don't know if they did or didn't give him a deal on Double, but we can also see with Black Sun coming out in the US, all of a sudden Kamen Rider Black getting licensed by Discotech. So you can see the trend here. As far as I know, there is nothing happening with Ryuki recently. There's technically the anniversary, but it doesn't seem like there's anything really big happening with Ryuki, at least in the US, at least any other multimedia projects that would want them to give them a deal. So what that would mean is to have episode final on this, in this box set, that they are essentially taking a hit, maybe even increasing the price. For what purpose? I mean, I'm not going to say that episode final is bad. It does have Dark Ryuki, which a lot of people really do enjoy. Ryuga, I believe, if I remember the name correctly. But it doesn't necessarily add to the story. It's an alternate ending, but unless Toei / Ishimori Pro said, no, you have to include it. If you're buying Ryuki, then you have to get episode final, which, by the way, companies have done before. You may notice that in the past, Funimation will have some shows that are sub-only, and there has been some discussion that the reason why they're sub-only and not dubbed is because they were given to them in a package deal where they said, oh, you want this popular show this season, don't you? Yeah, you do. You have to take these other few as well. So that might be the case here, where Toei and Ishimori Pro is actually saying, no, you have to take the movies as well, which I'm not against. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of being able to see the movies as well and having more licensed toku in the US. But to give that away, technically, with the rest of the series, I just am not buying it because it's not something that we've seen already. Because again, 01, the precedent was, oh, guess what? We need to, we want there to be a multimedia thing going on and getting some more hype for it. Doesn't seem to be the case with Ryuki. So that is another reason why I just think that, at least when it comes to this piece of box art, that this is not legit. But here's the thing, though. I could, right, even with all of the speculation and all of some of these facts behind me, I could be completely wrong. And if I am, then I'm going to be so freaking hyped, because we're going to be getting Kamen Rider Ryuki on Blu-ray and Dekaranger on DVD. So if I'm right, well, I still think we're getting them eventually, but that these are sadly fake. But man, if I'm wrong, how great would that be? I just wanted to make this video because I saw these two and just a bunch of red lights went off in my head. It was like Dekaranger SPD emergency, just immediately, just sirens. I was like, I don't know about this one, right? Just the glass shattered. I was just like, But in my opinion, even if I am wrong, how great would it be to have these in the US? So, thank you for watching some of this breaking news potentially. But regardless though, I want to hear what you think about them. Do you think they're fake? Do you think they're legit? Do you think that Ryuki and Dekaranger are coming out of the US? Because again, I think that they all are coming out in the US. At least, I say all, those two. But I don't know if they're going to be coming on anytime soon, and I don't think these images are real. But I would love to hear from you down in the comment section down below. So, thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you like the video, please remember to like and subscribe. And if you don't like the video, as always, you can still like and subscribe either way. I won't judge you for it. So, either way, though, love you all. Take care, and tune in next time. So, I'll see ya.